What's up, my friends? It is once again the Doctor, Dr. Remy LeBeau, here in the X-Lair, here to cure all your ailments associated with just the absolute lack of awesome videos highlighting the amazing X-Men statues that exist in the world. Today, your treatment is this very beautiful statue of Wolverine as Weapon X. It's a very intricately well done design. Obviously, there was a lot of thought put into this guy. Um, just in the base, you can see there's a lot of detail, but just beyond that, like you know, Logan himself, and in the form that he's taken, based on the context in which we saw him in the Weapon X story, like there's so much detail to that design, and it's all here in 100% accuracy, in wonderful just detail and precision and just awesomeness. Yes, yes, this is Weapon X. This is the Weapon X statue I've wanted, and this is the Weapon X statue that was produced by Bowen Designs, of course. Who else would produce such a great statue? Actually, there was another Weapon X statue produced a few years ago. I forget who did it. It was actually pretty good. It's not terrible. It's similar to this because they're both based on the same artwork, or the same artwork and the same storyline. But of course, that statue doesn't hold a candle to this one. This is the statue that is, in my mind, the quintessential Weapon X statue, created by Bone Designs. Now let's take a look at the base to get a little more info on this beautiful, beautiful statue. Okay, so released in 2012, sculpted by Thiago Provin. I haven't heard this name before. Thiago Provin. It might have been digitally sculpted. This is number 55 of 500. There are 500 of these in existence. So get your statue, folks. Get your Weapon X statue before they're gone. This is actually, I don't know if there was. I know there was one other variant of this statue made, which is Wolverine in his original costume, in the costume in which he appeared in um, Incredible Hulk 181. Uh, so there's a statue version of this in that costume. It's obviously a lot simpler. It's very cool. I chose not to get it because I can't get everything, but love it quite a bit. So, as many of you know, Wolverine was introduced, and there was like a lot of mystery in regards to who he was and how he became, the the trained killer he is. Um, the role that Department H in Canada played in that, how he got the adamantium on his bones. This went on for a very long time. Like, so he was introduced in the 70s, maybe like the mid 70s, and then the storyline which finally revealed like his origin, like what happened to him, how he became, what he is, what he had been in that time in the comics, was finally revealed via a storyline in the Marvel Comics Presents series of comics that were released in the early 90s, late 80s. And in those comics, you had maybe like three or four, I think you had four stories going on. Each one took maybe, 7 to 8 pages, roughly 7 to 10 pages each, and they were each broken up into like a long series of issues. So actually, the Weapon X storyline unfolded in 12 issues. I actually have one of those issues here. This is Marvel Comics Presents number 79. It was published, I'm pretty sure it was 1993. Oh, no, it's 1991. 1991. So here is one of the issues that features the Weapon X story. The artwork is by Barry Windsor Smith. Super talented guy. Like, I haven't really seen much other art by the dude, but man, look at this stuff. Like, I mean, obviously, like this. I think this image here is exactly the image that this statue was based on. But look at the detail on that, man. This guy's talented. And maybe it's because he only had to do like 8 pages a month or something that he was able to give extra special attention to the art because it's phenomenal. It's some of the best artwork I've seen without a doubt. So this is actually chapter 7, and I think there were 12 chapters. And you can see like in the back, the back also has like another cover. The back is actually by Mike Mignola, who's a very awesome artist who created Hellboy for all you Hellboy fans. So there's actually other stories in here featuring Sergeant Fury and Dracula. One story featuring just Sunspot. Sunspot of the New Mutants. Super awesome character, one of my favorite New Mutants. And Doctor Strange has his own story. So there's 4 stories in here, and the story that covers Weapon X in this issue is only about eight pages long. And again, like you saw the artwork, it's just phenomenal. There's a couple more panels in here that are super impressive. They're all super impressive. Um, but I mean, you can just see, just like incredible work, incredible work. Um, and you can see how this statue just like perfectly captures that work in all its glory, all the detail. Like I've shot a lot of photos of this statue because every element of it is so well crafted, and there was so much attention put into it that it makes the overall statue amazing, and it just warrants a lot of attention. It just if a person's going to feature a statue like this in a video and create and shoot photos of it and basically point out all that's cool about it, there's just every element needed to be touched upon, So I did. I included quite a bit of stuff. So check out the blog post if you want to see a bunch of close-ups of everything, all the various elements, the base, the helmet, all the sort of interesting components that are strapped to him that I guess are like measuring various aspects of his performance. So as we all know, like he was being trained, like kind of mind wiped and trained to be like this killing machine. And this is post him getting the adamantium, grafted onto his skeleton. Um, Now that whole storyline was captured in not only so it was captured in the 90s cartoon. They did a really great episode on his origin there, but we've seen his origin play out in both X2, which did a really great job, and then in more detail in Wolverine, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which wasn't that great. But I mean, we got to see a little bit more of the story that partly does play out here in the Weapon X seminal series that basically finally after years, after over a decade, almost 2 decades, revealed what had happened to Mr. Logan. So everybody's pretty familiar now with his origin, and in fact, after Decimation, after the whole Wanda Maximoff post House of M, Wanda Maximoff saying no more mutants and everything like changing for mutants, and basically everything changing in the mutant in the stories that are being told. Um, Wolverine actually got all of his memories back that he had lost, I believe, during this period. Um, and so now he's just a completely different character because he knows everything about his past, and I think he's finally been able to start coming to terms with a lot of what was done to him and a lot of what he became as a result of that. So Wolverine has gone through definitely his own sort of spiritual evolution beyond just obviously his mutation, which is like the physical evolution, which is really cool. Anyway, so uh, uh, can't say enough good things about this statue. Just incredible. The base itself, if you just if the base if you saw the base in like a store without a statue, you would probably want to buy it to just display it at, amongst like really cool sort of pieces that are like sculpture pieces that are created, because it itself is just I love like rocky sort of ledge bases that have a lot of detail in them and are just kind of like arbitrarily crafted in a way that kind of mirrors the process by which nature creates these like sort of rocky surfaces, like through like eons of like erosion and all sorts of like forces within like the earth and outside of the earth in the atmosphere. Just kind of molding these things. Like I love when sculptors are somewhat able to capture like exactly what nature does in just a spontaneous way, and that's what was done here. I mean, unless the guy had a precise reference, which I doubt. Like he created a really cool base, which looks great and really complements the statue well, and captures perfectly like what the setting is for this version of Logan, which is him sort of being put out in sort of the wilderness to sort of demonstrate as well as train. Demonstrate what his capabilities are, but also sort of train to be more of a refined killer. Obviously, he's like naked, so it's like so they just wanted him to be just like bare bones without any sort of weapons or anything to assist him. Just kind of see what the raw potential of him as a killer was, or can be refined to become. Um, and so that is the setting in which we're seeing him. This is why he's like basically naked with all these like contraptions around him. And as you saw in the comic, this is exactly what we're supposed to be seeing. If you're going to be creating a statue of Wolverine as Weapon X, so just I'm so amazed by it, and I've been so amazed by it ever since I got it. And I don't know, maybe you've seen my other videos, but right now I have Havoc in the Detolf here, but this is usually where he goes. Like he's just so impressive. I feel like he deserves extra special attention. Plus, he's also super detailed. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of surface area to him, and a lot of nooks and crannies that could get dirty. So I figured, okay, this guy needs to be extra protected. So I have him in the glass case to protect him. But love the statue, love it, love it. Can't say enough good things about it. All right, so the actual statue. Um, there's a lot of shading on the statue, and that's because it's just I'm gonna assume that he's been thrown out in the wilderness a lot, and he's probably like kind of sunburned a lot. So I've never really questioned that. It makes sense to me. And there was like a lot of hair drawn in. You can see in the close-up shots that I took, like there's like hairs that are drawn in all over his body, which is fine, even though he was shaved apparently during this period. It makes sense because the dude is a hairy guy. He always has been. He's got hair all over his body. I mean, that's just who he is. That's what his body's like, and so yeah, you got to throw in some hair in there. If you're gonna have Wolverine basically naked, you got to throw in some hair. The actual pose is really great. It kind of shows him. I mean, I essentially think that the guy was trying to reproduce, what the kind of pose that he might have in this panel here. So I think that was the purpose of this pose. But it's great. It just kind of shows him in the middle of action. It's very dynamic. Um, and and then you've got these very cool sort of devices that are attached to all around his waist, which look great. I took a lot of photos of them. There's a lot of attention put into them. And then from them you have these really incredible, I mean not incredible, but just like really cool sort of like wires that are actually kind of rubber wires. They didn't sculpt these, which is a good idea because they would be really fragile and probably break easily. They're kind of like rubber wires, which are transparent and have like a black core, which is nice, and they all connect to his helmet. So that's a really nice touch. The fact that they wanted to capture that detail and capture it in such a precise way, but also in a way that didn't make it so fragile that we that there would have been a high potential of for a lot of breakage in the delivering of these statues to the various collectors. So I like what they did, and I like the final result of it. Like it just looks really nice. Like it gives it a really nice effect. It just looks kind of more realistic in a way, which I like. Um, and then beyond that, you've got like harness straps all over his body. Um, but aside from that, I mean, the guy's basically naked. So there's like a really there was a really great job done of creating every aspect of his body. The musculature, the anatomy, it's all done really well, and it reflects the artwork really well, but also just just general requirements of a proper anatomy. Like there was such a great job done there. Um, I can't say enough good things about it. I've taken a lot of photos of it. One of my favorite elements of this is the claws. Like his claws are super long, longer than your average like Wolverine statue. I've taken close-ups of those as well, um, which is really nice. You know, like I like Wolverine. I like the exaggerated long claws. So anytime a statue has exaggerated long claws, it makes me happy because the claws are such a signature characteristic of Wolverine that you really want to see them just like kind of displayed prominently in a statue. So if you're gonna have a Wolverine statue, like you gotta have some big ass claws. That's my philosophy on it, and that's what they did here, and they did a great job in it on it, and it's spectacular. Another great aspect of the statue is the helmet. The helmet is super awesome, and you can tell in the design by Barry Windsor Smith. There's like all sorts of like details of like the mechanics of the mechanical sort of design of the helmet, and um, the sculptor, I forget his name now. I, he paid a lot of attention to that and made sure that every aspect of the helmet in 3 dimensions was captured properly. And I've taken a lot of photos of it because I wanted to highlight how impressive just the helmet is. So if you were to take just the helmet and the head and kind of make a bust out of it, it would be an impressive piece. There was so much attention put into the detail of that aspect of the character that it just in and of itself kind of makes the statue. But obviously, there's just so much to the statue that's great that everything about it just amplifies its greatness, and I'm just super satisfied with it. One last interesting sort of detail is obviously the dude's naked. If the dude's naked, like some of his parts are going to be showing. It, they were very careful not to be too obvious with those parts. I'm assuming Marvel wanted them to be a little bit conservative in what they showed. In the comic, I mean, you can see the guy's butt, like he's running around butt naked, essentially. Um, but obviously, Marvel, being owned by Disney, probably didn't want Bowen Designs to create a statue of a guy that's essentially naked. So the parts are covered up. But I have taken some candid shots from certain intrusive angles that demonstrate to those that are curious about the anatomical preciseness of this statue. Um, so that you can see exactly what was done down there. For those that just want that extra, they're just curious and want that extra special look into the statue. I've got some photos. And for those not interested, just scroll quickly, scroll down quickly, and you won't see them. Anyway, so this is like a super important moment for Wolverine, and obviously an incredibly awesome and well-crafted story was told here, and if for a statue producer to produce a piece that reflects that period and tries to capture it precisely, you need they need to do the job that was done here. And of course, Bowen Designs, they hit every mark properly. They hit this out of the park. This is Weapon X. This is Wolverine Weapon X. It is awesome. It is fantastic. Can't say enough good things about it. This was released last year. It is currently May of 2013. They're out there. There's 500 of them. It's a limited piece, but I've seen that they are still out there. I don't know if they're out there on online retailers, but they're definitely on eBay at reasonable prices. If you like Wolverine, if you like the Weapon X story, I would suggest trying to hunt one down now before in the future it'd be actually becoming like a highly sought after piece because it is such a well crafted and well executed piece. This is the kind of statue that people are gonna want to keep. I know I'm gonna keep it, and I don't doubt that a lot of other um, statue collectors are gonna want to keep it. So again, let me give him one last twirl. Look at this awesome freaking statue that you can see a lot of details um, of in my blog post in very close range. And there you have it, folks. Weapon X by Bowen Designs. 2 thumbs up. Definitely two fingers crossed. Thank you for checking out my video. Thank you for checking out my blog, X-Men Statues of Future Past remy.blogspot.com. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel, Dr. Remy LeBeau, unofficially Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Lair. And as always, X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. I hope you all take care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you again. Bye-bye.